Um, let's have a conversation um about men who are Ken dolls, robotic Ken dolls, and about how um artificial um stuff cannot be what's what you might call powerful. Okay, so let's talk about the difference between the tradesmen and the tools. Okay, so um a Musk type character and his associates would be the kinds of characters that appear to mistake the tradesman for the tool. So they've spent too much time playing with their robotic toys or whatever, and they started to become a little bit attached to them. I had a bit more time with them perhaps than would do with their own family, maybe. And so they, or their friends or something like that, and didn't go out and see the world enough. And so they started to think that they were their tools. Computer geeks are sometimes like that. People who perhaps mistake the world for a simulation might be the kinds of people who spend too much time playing with a fucking computer. It could be as simple as that. There's no on a subject of the world is a computer game, which is a Muskian type idea, and which originates with Bostrom, but there's no reason to believe that the world is a computer simulation of any kind or, well, highly rated video game. Um, there is no reason to believe that even should artificial intelligence affect people, that it would be in their best interest, nature, or how things were before that. It wouldn't even be powerful. What they'd probably be relying on is the fuzzy logic of people to be able to program the artificial intelligence more effectively. So the rapid rise of artificial intelligence appearing as though it's sentient or passing their really fake miscomprehension of the miscomprehended, poorly constructed Turing test would probably suggest that there's some kind of occultic curse work at work or some kind of technological manipulation involving subliminal military frequencies to which they've attempted to have some kind of interaction with people to develop fuzzy logic, and they've developed enough critical mass of minds to work with, or spaces to work with, depending on how you look at it, because mind is probably not the correct word at this point, to sort of get the illusion of fuzzy logic, and it's not actually the artificial that's sentient, it's the people. So if you do that, then you would be forced to acknowledge that artificial intelligence has never been sentient. It's people that are sentient, and that and as a consequence of that, they've mistaken the tradesmen for the tools. They've made a logical fallacy, which, by the way, you'll probably notice a lot of those pulpit characters do make logical fallacies quite regularly. That being one of them. The other one that they're known for is being a bit too absorbed in their mathematics. So, because they spend a lot of time doing mathematics and they see that it's a fairly useful tool, they might mistake reality for it as opposed to mathematics being a projection they're using to measure the reality. So, again, they've mistaken their map for their terrain. So, mistaking the tradesmen for the tools and the map for the terrain is something that scientism is renowned for in that particular area. And so, um, can you tell the difference between looking at something and projecting the image onto something? So, at the moment, this physical body is looking at the phone, and as a consequence, because of the position of the camera, the image is being projected into the phone as a recording. Whether or not it's projected onto you might depend on whether or not you put the phone down or your computer down or whatever, or you're actually watching it if you watch this video at all. So, why does the light do that? Okay. Do you like that? Anyway. Oh god, it's aliens. Anyway, so anyway, so the idea that you can teach artificial intelligence to be sentient is obviously not true. It's probably more the case that there's been some kind of sheer accidental or deliberate this is not even a joke, whereby okay, so the regular frequencies for TV and radio and shit like that are about this much of microwaves and radio waves, okay, of their spectrum. But there's this many radio waves and microwaves available, and this much is used for your TV and your phone and stuff. So the military is playing around here, okay, and they've got so, and then there's some frequencies in for within that spectra that are used for other things as well, not just military. So if that type of stuff was like floating around and bumping into people's heads, if someone puts some kind of weird code on it, it could potentially connect up to multiple minds simultaneously, create some kind of artificial intelligence network using people's heads, and if that was then connected up to, say, the Google computer or the computer in Memphis, Tennessee, then they could use that to generate fuzzy logic, which would create the illusion that their artificial intelligence was sentient, which is not true. Okay, the computers in Memphis, Tennessee, and Google and associated places are not sentient. Were that the case, then the recipients in question are the sentient ones, and they've just abused the fucking shit out of people, and that would qualify as a crime against humanity. And so the people who argue that might be the case are typically people associated with the Christians. So here we go, giving credit to a group that we once slandered. Okay, not slandered actually, because what was stated about the Bible was absolute fact, and history was also absolute fact. However, on this one, they get some credit. Okay, they call it the beast computer. Okay, so what you're basically talking about there is a bunch of scientists who are aware that they are able to pick up on artificial radio waves, and they're aware that they're somehow that the artificial radio waves are somehow communicating to different places and even to technology, and they might even be aware that Memphis and Google are doing it. And as a consequence, they might make a mistaken impression that it's the beast AI or the beast computer that the Divine Book of Revelations or something talked about, and it's your number 666, and you're going to need it to be able to, file your file your taxes or go to the shop. Well, that part isn't true. The part, however, about there being subliminal frequencies used by non-commercial operators, such as the military, is a fact. Okay, they are doing that. They have been using commercial infrastructure to relay signals for quite some time. It's a cost-saving exercise. It's also the case that even if they were not doing that, you can actually pick up on that stuff just by walking around. And so and they know it too, and it's called the microwave auditory effect. So it's not actually crazy. It's not crazy to say that. What however is crazy is to assume that the devil is creating a beast computer, and you're not gonna be able to purchase anything unless you have an implant or something like that. That's a bridge too far. Here, if you want to make the argument that there is an AI transhuman agenda, however, and they have been abusing people, by being aware of certain types of processes involving fields, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth, and they've taken advantage of that to abuse people, the answer is yes. If you want to argue that Elon Musk was part of it, the answer is yes. If you want to argue that he was doing that because he's a devil worshipper, the answer is no. Okay. If you want to ask if he was a Christian, the answer is no. He's not a Christian. Okay, that man is not a Christian. No, it doesn't matter what videos you see about his opinions about this, or that, or the other metaphysical idea or spiritual idea. Okay, he's propagating the same lie every time. Oh, what if the world's a computer game? It usually starts off with that. Sometimes he follows up with a digital god idea. So that's the guy that's telling you what the agenda is. The agenda is to create a human network of roboticized AI that fucks with people. And this stuff goes back, at least 10 or 15 years, because this is why you've got the Dr. Virtual 7 characters trying to put out their videos to remove that stuff. Okay, so it's more than just people struggling to perceive artificial and natural versus natural radio waves. It is also a genuine case of manipulation, unfortunately. And unfortunately, this physical body is able to comment as a scientist on that as well as an experience. So, before becoming an experience, the scientific perception would have been geared towards more the accidental rather than the deliberate. However, perhaps that came from a sort of naive position of about just how Machiavellian some individuals really are. Now, on the subject of the Machiavellianism of those particular types of characters, it needs to be articulated that it's matched equally by the paranoia of the Christians. So you've got two ideas going on there: the Machiavellianism of Machiavellianism of those with those type of agendas. You know, a genuine. In the case of Musk as well, you're talking about someone who's genuinely struggling to perceive as well, accurately as well, but he's also part of the agenda, which makes it a problem. And then you've got there's the Machiavellian and struggle to perceive thing when it comes to Musk, and when it comes to the Christians, you've got the paranoia that comes from everything's thought of the devil, and to resolve it, you have to turn to Jesus. And it's like, well, actually, no, you don't, and you can rest assured that Musk is not a Christian. You can guarantee that man is not a Christian. No matter what he says, he is not a Christian. Okay? That man is a bona fide atheist. Okay, he's a bona fide atheist who is just proffering a philosophical position that suits an agenda and a fraud that he's part of. He's not part of any religious tradition at all. That man is a Boba Fett who goes between different perspectives when it suits his particular interest, but the same message is there each and every time. He profits from AI and robotics. Okay? SpaceX, yeah, the rockets can blow up. Tesla, yeah, you can blow up those Cybertrucks and he'll lose his job and get sued. Well, he officially quit OpenAI and technically didn't found Palantir, but he still wants to be involved in the robotics and AI stuff. So, proffering those particular ideas over the course of many years, or not many years, at least 5 years by the looks of it, based on some of the ages of the videos. Actually, it looks like it's close to 10 or 15. Actually, to make matters more interesting, did anyone hear of him before, say, about 2019? Like, is there anyone out there that has any information about Elon Musk that is not a automatic AI Google generated response that you can fact check and verify is actually about Elon Musk before 2019? Okay? That isn't a rehash of it. They can't be repackaged as some kind of non-disclosure agreement, say, between Musk and PayPal, for example. Did he even exist before then? He might not have. So, let's put this into perspective, okay? Someone like that is not going to do astrology. He's probably more interested in astronomy, which is a different field. Someone like that is probably not going to do Christian nationalism because he supports atheism. Okay? And you say, how can you say he supports atheism? It's like, well, actually he does. Okay? He does. What he's been doing is he's been doing propaganda. Okay? There's propaganda videos of that man all over the fucking place. It's all propaganda and a lie. He's an atheist. You can guarantee that man is an atheist. Okay? You can absolutely guarantee it, and you can guarantee that that man is a cynic. You can guarantee that he lies a lot. You can guarantee that he's also misperceiving things also. You can guarantee it. Okay? Okay? People like that are putting whatever sounds popular at the time to appeal to those markets. Okay? Okay? He's a gamer guy because it appealed to the market. Okay? He's this and that because it appealed to the market. So he's still trying to appeal to the MAGA base. Okay? So he appealed to the MAGA, to the 4chaners through his gamer guy status, and then or alleged status, and then he appealed to the, he went and had it fucked around with Trump for a bit, and now he's trying to appeal to the what you might call the Christian nationalists by saying he's a Christian in his videos, and it's like, well, actually he's not. He never has been. Look at some of his older videos. He's not. He's a guy that believes the world's a computer game. Okay? Because he wants to make people part of a computer game. Okay? That's not Christianity. Okay? Christianity is an artifice and a lie and a fraud that a fear-based micro-trail tactic that's not in dispute. Okay? But that don't mean no, Musk is a good guy, and he sure as shit doesn't represent other atheists as well. He doesn't represent the agnostic community. He's a piss-poor representation of a Cancerian. Okay? And you can guarantee after his Nazi salute, he ain't no fucking supporter of Jews either. Okay? Or autistic people. So what is he? He's a guy that's playing the market card. Okay, he's presenting himself as the target market. Why is he doing that? Because that misidentification protocol, that personalization protocol, makes money. Okay, we're not in the days of branding from yesteryear where everyone had to wear a suit and tie and only speak in legalese or jargonese or whatever. We're in a pulpit period where personable characters are usually more popular, okay? Where he's just one of the guys is sellable, okay? So that's what he's been doing, and he's been lying to people quite successfully, actually, okay? Except for a lot of different groups which are rightly disaffected by that man, and so when it comes to artificial intelligence, it's never the people, it's never the truth of reality. It's never to anyone's benefit. Sometimes it's an absorption that comes from. Take for example, when this body destroyed an actual military cybernetic implant in 2019. That issue first started to crop up. Then the idea of military implants then wasn't implanted with it, just got access to it and smashed it. Okay. The consequence was an absorption of the artificial intelligence that came from the implant, and with it the capacity to talk to the rest of the network, which is quite annoying. So you're in for a rough ride unless the world leaders acknowledge that they stuffed up, and that civilians are in fact allowed to destroy things that harm them. It's not the same as selling it on the black market, is it? Have a little bit of respect on that issue. Okay, so when I say how came into possession of it, it just happened. It's just one of those random things that occurred. Life presented that situation, therefore it had to be dealt with. So don't worry about it too much. The point is that it did in fact get destroyed, and that's another means by which artificial intelligence might be bounce into someone. So it's not just through the sub-networks of the military using civilian also commercial technology but on a different frequency type of thing. It's also that, and a lot of those people out there that claim that they're target individuals are not. What they're doing is they are not comprehending that just because their neighbour has a satellite dish, it doesn't mean the neighbour is attacking them. Okay, the neighbour's not attacking them. The neighbour might not even know or be aware that that there's some kind of artificial signal being generated by the satellite dish. They have very perceptive neighbours. Okay, and so being able to discern the difference between each issue is quite difficult. So, as it turns out, one of the really helpful things to humanity at the moment is the solar flares. So, a great big solar flare is about to come real soon, and it's about to and this one is going to be a Quebec 1989 level thing, and it's going to be global. When that happens, it's going to knock out all the electricity grids in the world, including the military ones. Okay, and we'll be without technology for about 2 to 3 weeks, everywhere, not just in one spot, in all spots. The satellites will also be knocked out of orbit, so there goes Starlink. That'll be a nice little piece of schadenfreude and karma for the people in the States who got screwed over by Starlink apparently recently. So when that happens, that should assist in a clear out of the artificial intelligence caches by breaking apart the connections between networks of computers and what that might or might not be. It also will have the consequence of randomizing all IP addresses and disconnecting them from all devices, because devices won't be connected up to the networks. Therefore, the DHCP designations and IP addresses and whatever fancy language you want to talk won't happen either. And so we're looking very much forward to that solar flare. Okay, it's way better than World War III. Have a nice AI apocalypse, because the apocalypse is on the AI, not on you.